How to hold a masculine frame. Welcome to the video. If you feel like it's a rough landing with your girls and you're usually at the whim of everybody else and you don't have a lot of control, it might well be because you're not holding the frame like a fucking man. So this is what we're going to be doing today. This is what we're going to dissect, get into, and analyze and show you exactly how to do. Before we go any further, if you watch the video and you feel like I can help you, go grab the link from the description down below. It will take you straight to our community. This is where you'll find all the tools and strategies, accountability, and guidance. Okay, to finally start attracting amazing quality girls and women effectively, efficiently, and finally get the dating life that you actually want and deserve. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Today we're talking about what a frame is, what a masculine frame is, why you would want one in the first place, what it actually does, and finally, last but not least, how to actually hold a masculine frame. Why am I worth listening to when talking about that stuff? I've been teaching dating for 15 years. Theory like this and analyzing things like this is my bread and butter, and that is because I too once had to learn this. I had no idea how to be a man, how to hold a masculine frame, how to communicate properly to women like a man, like a champion. And because I had to learn it and it solved my issues, I felt like I need to teach it to a lot of other people. And I started teaching my friends, and next thing you know, I've been teaching dating for 15 years, like I said. So I might know a thing or two about how to hold the frame like a man. So let's get into it. What is a frame? First, I want to start by saying that frame, let's start with some theory, okay? Frame is the underlying context of an interaction, the underlying, like information that you don't immediately see, like information that's not visible. So basically, what frame is information that is implicit, okay? This is hard to grasp because, it's very theoretical, but what that actually means is, think about this. Think about a random-ass example. Think about somebody holding somebody else at knife point. You're thinking, what you're getting out of this, if a third person sees this, what they're getting out of this is this is some kind of threat, this is some kind of threatening scenario. But if you gain some wisdom, if you start looking a little broader and you take some more context into account, some more information into account, you might see that there is curtains and a stage, and now all of a sudden this is theater, this is a play, okay? So it completely changes the meaning. So frame is the underlying implicit information that gives different meanings to things, to interactions, to relationships, to all that stuff. So holding the frame and imposing the correct frame is super important. It is one of the most important things. So it's the separation of communication into content and context. I hope that's making sense. That's super duper important. By that token, obviously what frame does is it clearly defines roles. It gives you an understanding, and the person opposite to you a very thorough understanding of exactly who they are supposed to be in the situation and how they're supposed to behave. It really defines it, it sets up the interaction and the relationship to drive an exact type of behavior from the other party. That's why frame is so powerful, and that's why frame is so important. And finally, when we impose a frame on something, on a situation, we are basically saying to the environment, hey, listen, this is the way that I see reality. This is my opinion on this. This is how things are supposed to be. Okay? So this is what a frame is. And it's still a little bit theoretical, but we're going to get into it a little bit more. We're going to go in depth a little bit more. So what is a masculine frame? First of all, frame has no sex. There is no masculine and feminine frame. People say that because it's easier to verbally actually say, but what they mean to say is it is just the masculine thing when it's the man that imposes the frame and the woman that submits to the frame. Okay, this is what a masculine frame is. It is the man defining what the reality of the situation is. And now I feel like things are starting to make a little more sense. Okay, so this is called frame control. The ability to create the setup and to impose the reality that you see. Obviously, people see different realities, and the person with a stronger reality is going to automatically impose that reality to the other person and to the situation as a system. So the masculine thing to do is to create a setup that clearly defines roles. You're the woman and I'm the man, and that creates the polarity that is necessary for attraction. So if a woman, from the underlying context, implicitly, not explicitly, you're not gonna fucking say to the woman, hey, listen, you're the woman. That is the weak thing to do, and it's never gonna work. But if you can implicitly impose that frame, that is what creates polarity. That is what creates, clearly defines roles, and that's what creates attraction. So, let me tell you an example. Have you ever heard a girl saying to you, I'm not sleeping with you tonight? That is an attempt from a woman to impose a frame on you. It's like she's taking the lead, she's defining what will happen. And the thing is, and maybe some women are not gonna want to admit to that, every time a woman imposes a frame on a man, anytime a woman imposes a frame on a relationship, both parties end up incredibly distraught, really frustrated and angry. However, when it's the man imposing the frame on the woman, everybody tends to be happy. So when a girl is telling you, I'm not going to sleep with you tonight, she's trying to impose a frame on you. So what you must do is take back control and say, I did not hear what you just said. Basically, by the way, if she's telling you, I'm not going to sleep with you tonight, she's basically, the only thing she's really telling you is, I'm thinking about sleep with you. Of course, there are logical reasons for her why she would want to not sleep with you tonight, and that makes sense. But if you let that frame be imposed, then beyond that, you lose control of the situation. And women do have logical reasons for not wanting to sleep with you on a specific given night, especially if it's the first date and stuff like that, like boundaries, which is fair enough. But what she's not understanding is that she's imposing a frame on you, and now you're like confined and like constrained. And women do not like men who are constrained. So what you must do is this. You got to tell her, listen, I did not hear what you just said. I do not premeditate sleeping or not sleeping with people. The only way why I would sleep with you is if you and I both felt like we both want to sleep with each other. And there is no lies, and there is no deception, and there is no manipulation there. If any of us doesn't feel like sleeping with the other person, then we're not sleeping together. And if you try to premeditate sleeping or not sleeping with me, that is definitely going to make me not want to sleep with you. So now you took back control. You imposed your frame back on the girl. And by the way, in that way, she can still be happy because you're not crossing her boundaries and like violating her boundaries. Like she tried to set a boundary and you didn't like say, okay, I'm sorry, like this is not like I like if I want to sleep with you, I'll sleep with you, you know? So these things are a little convoluted, but unfortunately, this is how human communication, or even fortunately, because like this is actually cool to look at from this, like from a psychological perspective. But this is like how human communication actually works. With that said, polarity and leadership are important. Okay, so again, we're going to talk about leadership in a second as well, so we don't have to actually talk about it now. But here's some examples of masculine frames. I'm picking you up at 9, wear something casual. This is you imposing like what we're going to be doing and leading and taking control. Okay. So basically you're telling her what the plan is tonight. That is a masculine frame. Another one, the man issues commands and the woman complies. Get up. Go to the fridge. This is you imposing your reality on the girl. Your reality is not that she goes to the fridge. Your reality is 1 degree more abstract from that, which is I'm the one saying what will happen, and you're the one complying with what I'm saying. Now, this kind of dominance is super, super attractive. This is what women actually fucking want. There is one caveat. We'll talk about this in a couple of slides, but this is super, super attractive. Okay. And another example, more towards the macro, is this is the type of relationship we have. Like, we might only see each other on the weekends, or we might see each other every night. But it is me that says what we're going to do, and you're complying with it. Okay, so these are examples of masculine frame, and that's what a masculine frame is. Now, why should you want a masculine frame? Because it comes together, like having a masculine and maintaining and imposing a masculine frame comes together with burden, comes together with friction and responsibility and all that stuff. Without a masculine frame, like I said before, what tends to happen is a lot of friction, a lot of war between the two sexes, and the girl generally really doesn't like being in control. Even, in fact, women might even sometimes say they like being in control, but when you actually put them in control, they're going to become really frustrated and really angry. So, and that's the reason is that even if a woman is really happy being the boss at her work, most women want to come home to a place where they can relax, let loose, fall back, and have the security that somebody is going to be there and is going to be responsible to catch them. They want to be able to relax and let go and trust. And that is the role that most women feel comfortable in when they are in a relationship. So without a masculine frame, this is exactly what happens. Girls tend to get really angry and really frustrated. Now, like I said, I literally just alluded to that. The second point is masculine allows the woman to be in her feminine. Okay, when you are masculine, when you are taking control, taking charge, taking responsibility, leading, being dominant, all of these things precipitate that the girl, why do I have to use fancy words? Mean that the girl can then relax in her submissive, like be able to not worry about getting shit done because she has trust that somebody is there to get shit done, so she can relax. And when the woman is in her feminine, trust me, you'll enjoy that shit a lot more, and the price to pay, like being dominant and taking charge and taking responsibility, is very little compared to the reward that you get, like a feminine woman. And number 3, and most importantly, my man, if you have the masculine frame, if you hold the masculine frame, you are in control of your own destiny. You're not at the whim of everybody else, but rather, whatever you want will happen. And you get a sense of control, you get a sense of ownership, and you get a sense of, like, frankly, fulfillment. So, with that said, here's how to hold a masculine frame. You need to change some things in your life. You need to start acting in a way that I haven't acted before. Number 1 is leadership and leading. The way to do this is through 3 kind of ideas. The first idea is you must always take initiative. And taking initiative, I know it's a little bit of a complicated concept, but what it truly means, what initiative truly is that you are the first to physically move your body. That includes speech, that includes words coming out of your mouth. That is still physically moving your body. But when you're leading, you're the first one to actually initiate something. We want to go somewhere else. If you're leading, you're the first one to get up and start walking. We want to discuss an idea. If you're leading, you're the one speaking first and saying what idea we're going to be discussing. So that's number one. Number two is responsibility. The leader is always the hardest working person in the room, and hopefully also the wisest party. The leader is the one that makes sure that he takes care of everybody else, keeps everybody safe, and assumes responsibility for everybody else. That is such a masculine trait. And if you think and act like that, that already sets up the frame to be a masculine frame. And number three characteristic of leading is proactiveness, is anticipating shit before it gets to you and acting first. Like making sure that your awareness is like everywhere, and you make sure that before something reaches you, you've already reached it first. Okay. Now, number two, dominance. It's another characteristic of a masculine frame, and dominance is not violence, it's not force, it's simply you being 100% and not 99%, but 100% aware of exactly what it is that you want. How you want the furniture in the room to exactly be, where you want everything pointed at, where you want the girl to sit, what you want the girl to do. And this doesn't come out of ego, it comes out of competence. That goes both dominance and leading, and every other trait that would be considered masculine, that should be considered masculine. Dominance, you don't want the girl to sit there because it'll make you feel better. You just want her to sit in a specific spot because you know better, because you understand, like you're the wiser person in the room and you know that is the best for her. Okay. So, dominance is divided into awareness, like I said, like developing and this is, by the way, what most people have the biggest issue with. Most men have an issue with how aware they are of exactly what they want. So, dominance is developing that awareness, becoming 100% aware of exactly what it is that you want. And number two, subsequently, when you're done with being aware and you know exactly what you want, which is the hardest part, asserting that onto the space in an egoless way, without giving it a flavor of like, I'm better than you or anything like that. But rather, just it's an implicit understanding that you're the one in charge and you're the one in control. Okay. This is how you hold a masculine frame. So, with all that said, grab the link in the description below if you're interested in our community and all the tools that will make you a fucking champion. And like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.